Hey, all you cool squirrels and cactuars in the FFPE Global group, and welcome to Ask an Old Mog time. And hello to everyone out there on YouTube who sees this video as well. These videos aren't just for the FFPE Global group, but they are for everybody who wants to come and see them. So if you stumbled across this and find it useful, welcome, hello, welcome to this this series of videos that I do for the FFPE Global group. I was looking around in the posts for, just kind of interesting stuff to talk about for today's video, and I didn't really find anything that's really stood out to me, but there has been something that I've wanted to do a video about for a while, but I didn't want to put it out there until I had done some kind of independent research and had a really good way of explaining it to you. And I have taken some time to do that this evening and have figured some things out, and that is about field effects. One of the things that really interested me about field effects recently is that I saw people doing battles and doing clears, and they had two field effects running at the same time. And a lot of people ask in the comments on those videos, like, how are you doing that? Like, how does that work? Because I thought the field effects only affected the whole field, and you couldn't do more than one at a time, because when you do one, it clears it out, which I'm going to demonstrate here in just a second. Well, I've done some work. I've figured out how to do it, and a way to explain it, and a way to visually represent it, and so here we be. So why do I think this video is useful? And the reason for that is this right here. So I went looking for information about this on the wiki, which is usually my go-to, like, hey, go check this out. If you want to know more about this, go check this out on the wiki, because that's the best place to get basic information first, right? So I searched for field effects on the wiki and pulled up the field effects page. This is what you get. There's nothing there. So to start out with, it was just like, oops, womp, you can't look up information about field effects on the wiki, and that's nobody's fault other than whoever decided that they weren't going to make up the field effects page. There's just no information there. So hopefully this is useful for somebody who went looking on the wiki and couldn't find it. So let's talk about what field effects are. So field effects are abilities that are either done by the player or by some enemies that apply changes to the battlefield that can't really be dispelled or removed except by changing the field effect itself. What that means is you could apply a field effect that does a buff, for example, and that buff can't be removed unless it expires naturally, or if the enemy does a field effect of their own somehow and wipes it out. And like I said, some enemies create field effects and some player actions do. Some battles have a field effect already that you can go in and wipe out if you don't want it there. Some field effects, though, and this is where it gets interesting, only impact one side of the battle, and others will impact both sides of the battle. And I just realized that there's a typo on my screen, and I cannot abide by that. So I'm going to fix that really, really quick while I'm talking. Where is it here? They only impact one side of the battle, not both. And that is where it gets really interesting. There we go. Because you can mix and match. You can mix and match what works and what doesn't to kind of custom engineer the field effects going on the battle for you to meet your needs. Often, when both sides are impacted, the effect of the field effect is the same. But with a new event that just came out, or unit that just came out yesterday, Summoner Lena, this is not always true. Lena's field effect, for example, it reduces the enemy's resistance to fire and boosts your resistance to fire. Now, we're going to talk about why that might be useful and why it might not be useful in just a second. But to help us with understanding how this works a little bit, I want to demonstrate it. So we're going to clear this out and bring up the demonstration. To demonstrate this, we're going to take a group of units that can provide field effects into the training field. The training dummy, right? We're going to go there by going to the exchange and the vortex, and then using the town menu to go to the Tower of Wind. Now, we've done this before. We know that we're going to be taking these units in based on what you have selected on your screen, and we're going to practice against the dummy. So the nice thing about this is that all your limit bursts and Esper crystals are already filled up, and you don't have to worry about it in the training field. So let's go ahead and start. So the first thing I want to show you is the both sides field effect. This one we're going to demonstrate using Sage of Thunder Sakura, because she does we're going to do it with Ferris. So Ferris here, her limit burst creates a field effect for both sides that's the same. I don't have the animations turned on, so once you use it, though, you can see It boosts wind physical damage on both sides. The enemy has this red arrow here, and we have this blue arrow here, and it says wind boosted wind physical damage both sides. So why might that be bad? Why might that be good? If you have an enemy that happens to do wind physical damage and be weak to wind physical damage, this is not good, right? Because both sides are getting boosted. And so this could be potentially bad. If you've got an enemy that resists wind damage and you want to just boost your wind damage, like obviously you shouldn't be using this field, but this is not useful in this instance. Or maybe you want to, you're going up against a boss that does not do wind damage and you do. So like in that case, it's perfectly fine, right? So that's fine as long as the enemy doesn't do wind damage because they're not getting the boost and you are. But you can further customize this by applying either an enemy-only field effect or change it up to like maybe boost something better for you that makes more sense. And so we're going to demonstrate that now with Moogle of Marsh Nog. Now, Moogle of Narsh Mog. Too many N's and M's, and I have a speech problem. So if you go down here, he's got two. We're going to use this one, Snowman Rondo. This is going to deal fixed ice damage to all enemies, restore some HP, boost some stuff, right? And then also apply an ice element field. It adds not the ice element field. It adds ice element to all of our attacks, right? To all allies only, and it reduces ice resistance by 25 for the enemy area only. So notice enemy area. Very cool. So we're going to do that. And notice this is now changed to reduce ice resistance. And we also have ice imbued on us, so that's very good. So we're doing ice damage, and the enemy is weak to ice now. And the enemy cannot dispel this or remove this in any way unless they can produce a field effect. So let's talk about why that could be useful. If you have the ability to wipe out a field effect completely and then make them weak to something that you care about, now you've done that. If they're weak to ice and they have a field effect already, you wipe it out with Ferris and then put the ice resistance up or ice resistance down on. Now you're able to do more damage and remove the effects of their field effect. So that's potentially good. But it's still not perfect, right? Because we are boosted wind physical damage on my side and reduce enemy or ice resistance on the other. So even though we have ice imbued on us, we're not doing the most maximum possible damage with this set of field effects. So just like we have some that only affected the enemy, we also have some field effects that do ally, which we'll talk about in a moment with Melia. So we go to Melia, right? She has an ability called Wooded Refuge, and we're going to use that. That's going to remove our wind boost and give us a defense and spirit buff. And you'll notice it's still kind of flashing in the background. It's going to flash that way until we switch to the next turn. And let's say, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't really want to have boosted defense and spirit. Maybe I want to have boosted fire damage because we're doing fire damage. There you go. So I can use Louise's fire starter, and lo and behold, right, we've got the little fire crystal there, and we're doing boosted fire damage, but we're still reduced ice on this side, so it's not like perfect. Let's just get rid of everything, and we'll just start from scratch with both sides to completely replace the field effects on both sides. And now we don't care. And now everybody has reduced lightning resistance on both sides, and as long as the enemy doesn't do lightning, that's fine. And if we do lightning, that's even better, but at least now the field effect is wiped out. So you can kind of see, we've got both sides. We've got enemy side, ally side, and replacement fields. You're replacing just by using a double, and that works. So we have not done the combo yet, though, and that's going to be the next demonstration. So I'm going to go ahead and drop this out. We're going to leave, and we're going to go for something a little bit more geared towards, demonstrating how this can be more useful in like a structured way. So we've got a team here that's going to be kind of focused on doing wind damage, and then just kind of doing some LB damage and some capping or some chaining just to kind of demonstrate how it can be. So this is our team. Shows it here. We're going to go back in. So remember I said we can do a both sides field effect and then replace the enemy side with a different field effect that's going to be more beneficial to us. we're going to use Ferris again to do both sides, and we're going to do Moogle of Narsh Mog, I said it right that time, to imbue wind and decrease the enemy's wind resistance. But to demonstrate that further, we're gonna do a chain and a cap just to kind of show what that looks like. So last gens here is just gonna cap a chain that Biggs and Wedge are gonna make for us, and just kind of demonstrate what their damage looks like without all the field effects and imperils. Well, let's go ahead and imperil. It's not gonna matter because we don't have wind yet. We're just gonna guard them. They're gonna create a chain and cap just to show us what our baseline damage is. All right, it wasn't perfect. I didn't really do it right. 379 million. Yep, 379 million, 380 million. We'll round up, and it was not that interesting, right? So it was just whatever. Now let's apply the field effects. So Ferris. Oh, Sky, sorry. So Sky is going to use Overcast Skies. This is going to do a big wind imperil on the boss, right? If we click on the boss, now we see wind resistance is there. That's one that can be dispelled. So just bear that in mind, right? So it could be potentially dispelled. Ferris is going to go ahead and use the field effect from her Limit Burst. Okay. We've got boosted wind physical damage on this side on us, and boosted wind physical damage on this side, so we don't want that, right? So we're going to switch out the enemy side now with Wind Rhapsody. Just like the Snowman Rondo did ice, this one does wind, so it does wind damage, heals HP, adds wind to us only, and reduces the wind resistance to the enemy by 25%. Okay. Boosted wind physical damage on our side, reduced wind resistance on this side, and that does stack with this one. So this was 130 and an additional 25, so now we're at minus 155 wind resistance. And we're all imbued with wind, so let's try it again, doing the chain and the cap, and we not only are going to chain faster because we're getting elemental chains on this one, but we are getting the benefit of the imbue and the wind damage down field and imperil from Sky. So here it is. Okay, we did 380 million last time, and that time we did, I think that was 3.7. Let me just reload that and try it again because I didn't see it very well. Okay, it was 3.5 billion. So that's obviously not going to happen on a boss fight. You're not going to be that perfect, but think about the effects of stacking the resistance down from our field effects and boosting our damage up from field effects that we have now comboed together to create a perfect scenario where the enemy is now weaker to us with imperils that we applied, and we are boosted, and they are further imperiled by a wind resistance down field. Obviously, it made a big difference, right? 380 million compared to 3.5 billion. Big difference. There it is, right? So don't forget, you can use both sides' field effects to just totally wipe the field, and as long as it is to your advantage to do that, you can. Not going to make a big difference in terms of like, I mean, it'll make a big difference, but it's not going to like hurt you to do that. You can then use enemy sides to customize it to your strategy. And so, like I said before, enemy sides and ally sides to customize it to your strategy. So I said before, right? Lena just came out. Lena's enemy side buff is a debuff or resistance down and boosts your resistance up. Now, if you don't care about resistance up, you could then use Louise's ally field effect to create a fire boost up and an enemy field down with those two combos, right? So you just got to kind of mix and match, and there's lots of possibilities, lots of examples of different units having those. Those are just the one that I could demonstrate. I really only have a wind up or wind boost and wind down debuff combo that I could put together on my screen. There's lots of other options out there. We'll go ahead and go back to the home screen here. So the next thing we're going to talk about is Sharky Suggests. So Sharky is not with me right now. Sharky got all wet and is taking a little rest upstairs, but Sharky's here with us in spirit. So Sharky suggests this. With a raid going on, make sure you complete the raid box summons and then continue to battle the raid for a chance to get summoned Omni Prisms, STMR tickets, upgrade materials, and more. Omni Prisms are not always super useful, but I just used one today. To make Moogle of Narsh Mog up to a 7-star, because I didn't feel like using all my tickets to get a prism for him. Like, it's not the most efficient way to do it, but I have a bunch of Omni Prisms laying around, so I went ahead and went for it. You can get Omni Prisms from the raid once you reach the end of it, so just go ahead and keep doing the raid. I know it's maybe kind of boring, you know, just do it. You're gonna get a lot of good stuff out of it potentially. Why miss out? Thank you, Sharky, for your away from the keyboard suggestion. Oh my gosh, why am I clicking things? Sharky, go away. Can't even edit that out. I mean, I could edit that out, but I believe in not being perfect, so here we are. And that's it, you know. So field effects, I didn't know until just recently you could do 2, and you can do 2, but you have to pick 2 that work together. So an enemy field and an ally field, you can kind of mix and match and create the perfect environment for you to do your damage. Not to mention that boosted LB damage or boosted wind damage, for example, also stacks with a party side wind amplify. So you could use like Bulwark to do wind amplify or Bart's to do wind amplify on top of the boosted damage up on our side and boosted resistance down on the enemy side to do lots more damage. I didn't have 6 units to play with. I was just kind of putting it together. So yeah, fields, you can use 2. Who knew? Now you do. If you found this video interesting, if you found this content interesting, the idea of learning new ways to play the game is always fun for me. So if you like this and you're like that, definitely like the video. It helps me out a lot. And if you are interested in knowing when these videos come live, which is usually Friday night around this time, usually Friday night, Saturday morning, just kind of depends. You can also subscribe. We appreciate that. And be on the lookout for videos. If you've got a question you want to see answered next time, drop a comment below. Because I like to do, direct videos a lot more than just kind of like random stuff that I come up with. But this one was an exception. This one was a lot of fun to put together and think through, like, how am I going to demonstrate this? So all that said, thank you for watching and have a great evening, great weekend. Be safe out there. Where I am, it's very, very cold. So if it's cold where you are, stay warm. If it's warm where you are, stay cold and hydrated and safe. Be good to each other. Take care.